Welcome to another Connecting the Community podcast. I am Marge Andre, the host of this podcast, where I talk, for the most part, to people doing good things in and around Richmond Hill. On this podcast, I am welcoming two of the potters from the Hill Potters Guild, Minda Davis and Elaine Goldenberg. Hill Potters Guild has their upcoming spring sale May 1st to May 3rd, so we needed to have this conversation. Welcome, Minda and Elaine.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks.
Hi. I am really glad that we found time to do this podcast. I so enjoy talking to you guys. I love what you do. I'd like to start by each of you introducing yourselves. How long have you been doing pottery, and can you describe your pottery? Minda.
Yes, so I'm the old lady of the pot. I started as a centennial project in 1967, one day a week with Isolde Rest in the Markham village. And I took a holiday for about 10 years, and when I found Hill Potters, I came back. So I've been doing it on and off for many years. But it's my joy to have found Hill Potters where I can do my pottery. I do mostly functional pottery. I do some other stuff, but mostly functional because I think that functional pottery should also be well made and be beautiful. And I'm lucky enough to sell in our sales and also at the Gardner Museum shop. So, you know, it's an honor to sell in both places.
Very nice. And Elaine, your story.
Well, somewhat similar. I've been doing pottery for many years. I started way back when I was actually in university many years ago. Started in Montreal. I did a little in Kingston when I was there, and then when I moved to Toronto. But then life happened, and marriage, children, and so there was a good 15 years that I had to put it on hold, and then took it back up in around 2007, 2008, and started off with classes with Sherry Rossi, who you know, and eventually, as time permitted, and I eased into retirement, was able to join so that I could spend more time doing what I like to do as a great hobby. My work is, as Minda's, the same. It's functional work. I like the things that I like people to be able to use what I make. And typically that's how when I look for other people's work and I buy that, it's kind of the same kind of thing. I like to be able to use it and enjoy the use of that, whether it's a mug or a bowl or, and I like the one-of-a-kind pieces.
Very nice. Can one of you give us a history of the Hill Potters Guild?
A group of potters came together in the 1970s, and that group grew and grew and grew and split into two. So that's the beginning of Pine Tree Potters and Hill Potters Guild. So we've been at it over 45 years plus in the same location.
I knew you've been around for a while. I would not have guessed 45 years. So, now, how many members do you have? And are you getting lots of new members?
We have 30 plus or minus members. Our guild, we want to make sure that we can support new members when they come in, mentor them, and that we have space for them because, we're not a huge physical plant, but there is a waiting list. Pottery has become very, very popular lately. And, we're glad to see people interested in joining the guild.
Joining is also a responsibility because we act sort of as a cooperative. So we want to also make sure that people have the time to give to the guild, to do things, to take responsibility, with cleaning and making glazes and other,
Learning how to fire.
And firing.
Some of the responsibilities will be part of this upcoming sale as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what makes a good potter?
In my opinion, a love of clay and working with clay, and being open to learning and sharing. And that's about it for me, Elaine.
I think also having good technique. I mean, it's nice to be able to do things, but let's say, for example, you're making a functional piece like a teapot. It has to be able to, you have to have a good lid to fit on it. You have to be able, it has to pour, it has to do what it is you need it to do. It's at a mug. Does it sit properly in your hand? Is it glazed so that it can be used for food? If it's, things like that. So it's also a bit of the technical part of the work.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, does the guild work or collaborate with other guilds or other potters? And just when you do travel, do you seek out other pottery?
Yes, we have monthly meetings, except during the summer, and we often invite other potters to come in and show us what they do and for us to learn from them. During the pandemic, of course, we could access people across the country, across the world, really. But of course, we need to be mindful of travel. We also have done bus tours where members go from studio to studio, where other potters welcome us and show us their wares and how they do it. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Also, we go to fusion conferences often where there are potters who demonstrate their work and actually do it in front of you.
Okay. So fusion conference, can you explain what that actually is?
Fusion is the organization for potters and glass. It's hopefully a national organization, I think. And, I should know what their mandate is, but we can look it up.
Okay.
But they're very active.
Yeah, they run conferences and
they do. And
various programs.
Okay.
And shows.
And shows. Okay.
Yes.
I must admit, fusion to me, I often associate with food, not with pottery.
Yes, it's because it's both potters and people
Glass
who do
makers.
glass, blowing or fused glass. So,
and it does seem that you do go and spy on other potters for ideas and inspirations.
Absolutely.
We call it sharing.
Yeah, no,
Sharing, okay.
That's how we do get inspired. And whether it's, local, like when we used to do our bus tours, which, were obviously had to be local because we did it just for the day. But when I can speak for myself, if I'm on vacation somewhere, doesn't matter where around the world, I will, and my husband can tell you, drive him crazy, find pottery shops and certainly look at local pottery because the techniques are different over different parts of the world. So very interesting. And I purchase pieces. So yes, I do. I look wherever I am. It's part of.
Yeah. You're drawn to it. Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And I do the same thing. And I'm lucky enough to have been in two in particular areas that are central to pottery. I was in Icheon in Korea, which is a town that's all pottery because the Asian pottery started in Korea and then was moved to China and Japan. I've also been in the big center in China and was lucky enough to be in pottery studios. I also, when I was in Cuba, left the beach and took a little tour and ended up in a potter studio and actually threw a pot on his wheel. So people are very welcoming.
I think we could do a whole podcast on the history of pottery because I think there's a lot there. Okay. Well, let's start talking about the show that's coming up. Again, Friday, May 1st, Saturday, May 2nd, and Sunday, May 3rd. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of two that are held each year, and the other one being in November. It's at the historic Burr House at 530 Carville Road. So this show is not just one big room. Can one of you describe what it's like, say, for someone who's never been to the show before?
Well, Burr House is a house. a very historic house, and Elaine's going to describe the inside. It's one of two on our sites. We have Guildhall, which was moved from Bathurst and Carville, and that's where the Burhouse Spinners and Weavers, and we have our studios. And Burhouse is a house.
Donated, so it's a historical property. Yes, so as Minda said, it is a house. So you come in and it's we have four rooms, and our potters are set up in those rooms. Each right now, every potter is highlighted in their own area, tables and displays and stuff like that. So when you come in, you'll see it by potter. And sometimes we do display not only their ware, but we display certain themes. So, for instance, we may do a mug theme and then put everybody's pot in a certain display area so that people can see that. This year, people have been working on things for the garden because it's spring. Eventually, spring will come here. And so there are a lot of ornaments and things you can put in the garden. So they'll be displayed that way throughout the different rooms. But you'll wander around the rooms and you'll see everybody's pots as per potter.
Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful place to go as well as seeing beautiful pottery. So it's so enjoyable. So I encourage everyone to stop by, even if you think, I don't need another mug or a piece of pottery. I limit myself to one piece per show.
Mother's Day is coming up, so that's also.
So I will treat myself.
Yeah. There you go. Good idea.
Okay. Can you estimate the number of pieces that are in the show?
Yeah, roughly around 700 or so odd pieces. Yeah. We go anywhere between about 700 to about 1,000 at our peak. Yeah.
So are all of those put out on right away, and then by the end of Sunday afternoon, the shelves are getting empty?
We, right now, we have enough space to display all the pieces. When there have been times where we've had to sort of put some aside, especially if there are kind of multiples of the same thing, and we don't have the physical space to put everything out at the time. We have put them away, and then as things sell, we'll bring them out. But over the last little while, we've been okay about being able to display all the pieces. We've purchased some better display units and things like that as well, which has helped us to do that.
Yeah, you do have, it is displayed very, very well.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
You guys do a lot of work there. And again, it's the members who do the work. And so for those 3 days, there's a schedule of which potter comes in at which time?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. We have to. So part of the responsibility in the guild, being part of a member of the guild, is to work the sale. Some of the work is done, even if you not necessarily have any pieces that you're selling, because not everybody sells their work. We have 30 potters, about 20 of them typically are involved in the sale. 20 out of the 30. So yes, there's a schedule that is set up, and people are responsible for certain shifts, typically 3 shifts are, 3 to 4 hours at a time. And then, but some do a lot. There's a lot of work that is done behind the scenes to get us up and ready. There's lots of work to get a sale up and running. We've been working for a couple of months. We're barely out of one sale. We have a month of a breather and we're like into the next one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, I can imagine there is
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. But yeah. I get a real sense that everyone enjoys, all the potters are really enjoying being at this sale and meeting people and such. So it's very positive.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I have been trying to decide why I actually like these pieces of pottery so much. They are beautiful pieces, but I do like that these are things that are not made by some greedy corporation or poor working conditions, other side of the world. It's not part of the tariff war. This year, your promotional piece says, own a masterpiece, not a mass-produced piece. I like that. So why do you think people like to purchase your pottery? What have people said to you?
We have a loyal following, Marge, of which you are one.
Mm-hmm.
And people love to come and see what's new, what catches their eye, and to chat up the potters. We know people, as I say, personally, and it's quite a loyal following. And we do get new members who haven't, or new people who haven't been in our sales. And it's a pleasant place to be. But as I say, we do have very loyal supporters who come and look and most often buy. And amongst those supporters are the mayor and the councillors
Yep.
and sometimes members of parliament who make time to come and support and often buy. And we're grateful for that support, really grateful. So they've become friends over time.
Yes, I often see so many people I know, including members of council, and I think I am so glad that you are supported, endorsed by our elected officials at all level.
When you come to a pottery show, you draw upon a certain part of the population that kind of likes the things and appreciate because they're produced, it's not the dollar store item that you can buy for $5 or $2. So they appreciate the work. People, when they come to the sale and they like to pick it up, see how it feels in their hand if they're going to use it. They appreciate the art if it's a sculptural piece or a non-functional piece. And those are the people who come to our sale. And typically buy things. And as Minda said, we have a great community in and around Richmond Hill. Come, and the ones that are most loyal come at noon on Friday to get the best pieces because they are one of a kind. And we have had a few people who've come and say, "Oh, I want this. I saw this piece on Facebook," and I'd say missed it by that much.
Yes.
Just sold. And, but they tend to gravitate to a certain potter or potters. And so come and go right to those displays of those a potter, a specific potters. And friendships have been born from that, actually.
Yeah. I'm not surprised to hear that. There is a real range of, I'm going to use the word styles of pottery. Is styles the right word? Like, how do you describe one person's, theme for what they do?
There are different techniques for pottery. We do firings in our electric kilns. We have a raku kiln that we now use, and we do barrel firings. So the pots are different based on those firings, but as well, we have traditional functional pieces. Glazing techniques have changed. So, in the old days, everything was sort of brown colors, which is good, but there's a much more variety now in terms of surface decoration. Yeah. So I think that's it. What hasn't changed is that what's available in our sales is without question well-made and functional or non-functional. If it's non-functional, it's clearly stated. And all of our pots are juried by an experienced artist. So when they go on the shelf, they're well-made.
Okay. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I've wondered how much has pottery changed over the years? Like, say, 20, 30 years ago, if you had a picture of what was being at the sale, would it be a lot different than what you see now?
Well, I think in terms of the kinds of pieces, probably not much has changed because we draw upon things and we make styles of things that were made hundreds and thousands of years ago, right? Pottery lives. So if you go to any museum, the shapes of things are probably not have changed. But what has grown, I think, as Minda said, is different types of firing. And I'll put a plug in to, hopefully, weather permitting, we will have a raku firing, which is done outside. And people who come to the sale can watch. It's quite interesting and worth spending a few minutes doing that. So firing techniques probably has not changed, but I think, as Minda said, glazing, there's more experiment to us, more commercial glazes, more colors. Colors is big now, and that has changed, and that's as a result, I guess, of technology. But from very earthy colors, maybe 30 years ago or whatever, you're seeing pottery that has, blues and yellows and things like, various colors. And people are experimenting, learning from other people. I think the fact that, you can see things on the internet, on Instagram, you can do all of that. You can, people share their ideas and things like that. And you go and you learn from that. So that has, I think, expanded the range of, probably more the decoration and pushing those boundaries and trying new things. So I think that's the part that has
That
evolved.
changed. Okay.
Well,
So
I'm sorry, just to add one thing. People are used to throwing to pots made on the wheel. There's a lot more hand building that they see now, certainly in our guild. And the pieces are somewhat often large, representative of various things. And there's the freedom in hand building to do all kinds of pottery techniques. So, and of course, you can also alter thrown pots, throw them and make them changed. So there's all that stuff going on. And I'd like to say that most of this stuff, as Elaine says, has been done for eons.
okay, well, I'm glad that you are still in the business eons later. This is it's good to know. I'd like to hear from both of you on this point. What makes the Hill Potters Guild successful?
I think everybody loves to do what they do. They're very interested and very collaborative. People help each other. They share ideas and work together. And it's a small enough group that you can interact easily with people. And
I agree totally with Elaine. When we bring in new members, they're given a mentor who helps them learn what they need to know within our studio, from cleaning up to firing kilns, which people often are hesitant to do. We have a full studio and offer alternate firing techniques as we've described. So we have the studio, we have mentors, we have support for new ideas, and that's about it.
Okay, so both people and place
Yes.
help make it successful. I do end the podcast asking the same question of all guests. My question is, if you had a magic wand and could make the world a little better, what is one thing you would change in the world?
I think I'd like to make sure that people are more kind to one another, not only on the individual level, but on the group level, going right up to the country level. And if that were the case, I would suspect that we would likely not be in the position we are now.
Thank you. So your wish is for kindness. Elaine.
Yeah, I share Minda's opinion. I think we all need to listen to each other and be a little kinder. We need a kinder world right about now.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Elaine and Minda, for taking the time to do this podcast. And thank you for doing all your pottery as well, organizing the sale. I am so looking forward to seeing you shortly after noon on Friday. So
Yeah.
I'm one of those early birds. Again, thank you.
Can I just plug our sale before we end?
Yes.
So we are on Friday. We open at noon. That's usually our busy time, because if you want a certain piece, that's your best selection. So we're on Friday from noon to 6. We're on we open Saturday from 10 to 6, and then Sunday we have shorter hours, noon to 4. So please come and see our raku firing, which will be on the Sunday.
And there's a demo.
And there we do demos down in the guild hall downstairs where we do our pottery. We will have people doing wheel throwing and hopefully some hand building and things like that. So come and see how we do our work as well, because it makes you appreciate, I think, what
goes on. Yes.
What goes on and what that finished piece, how we get to that finished piece, because it does take.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, it's very worthwhile to come. So again, thank you. And we will see you next week. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate you sharing this podcast. Consider emailing me at Marge, M-A-R-J, at margeandre.com. I would welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Let's stay connected.